Hi everyone, and welcome back to the studio. As you can tell from the title on the thumbnail, oh boy, this is the holiday crochet rush. It's not really a rush, I'm just calling it that and kind of thinking that it is, making myself think it is, just to get some stuff done and moved out of the way. I have a little boy's blanket that I'm going to be working on. They do not celebrate Christmas. However, I want to try to get it done by the end of the year. And then I have two other blankets that I want to make some progress with before the end of the year. Not intending to finish them. If I do, great. If I don't, also great. And then I have some yarn. I got this box years ago at Joann's. Well, not that long ago, actually. Maybe like 2 years ago, 3 years ago from Joann's. I have some yarn in it that I need to wind up. So I think I'm going to start off with that. I'm going to start off with the colors that I'll probably be using first. These two. And then I'm going to go to the colors that I won't be using as much. And part of this too is just to kind of encourage me to use some of the other yarn that I have, just to use it up and either list it on my Etsy, list the finished item on my Etsy, or gift it. So we'll just see how everything goes. But first, balling up this stuff, balling up the yarn, winding up the yarn. Again, I think I mentioned this in another video. I know where like it's not the grounder thing. I know where the thingy is to hold it to the desk. I just, right now, that's not a priority to get. So I'm just holding it down. It works fine, but I'm just holding it down when needed. It works fine without the holder thing, but I'm just like, I'll hold it down when needed, and then we're just gonna go from there. So slight height difference, so you can kind of see it moving. Where's the plug-in for this? There it is. I usually have this plugged in already, and then that way I just don't have it. I have the cord part plugged into a port. I just don't always have it plugged into this, just because it takes up a bit of space on my desk, and that way it's like I can move it as needed. But once I'm ready to use it, I can just move it back onto my desk and use it. So I'm gonna start working and go from there. Okay, so I have one cake done, and I always kind of like how the holes look. It's not always perfect, but I have one done. And the reason why I wanted to get the green ones done first. Where are you? Are you there? Where are you? The reason why I wanted to get the green ones done first is because you can see the squares there, the green ones that I was working on earlier in this video. That's the toddler blanket I'm working on, and this will kind of off balance some of the greens in that, and then this darker green will also off balance. So I don't know if I'm going to, I'm probably going to use this for some filler squares, because I don't have enough of the yarn that I already used. I don't have enough to finish off the size of blanket I would need for him. So I'm probably going to use this one for filler squares just to balance it off a little bit, and then I might use this one to like weave it together, sew it together, and then border. I'll see. I might use a white to border. I don't know, because there is some white in it. I'll figure it out as I go. It really is a figure it out as I go blanket. But I'm going to move on to this one, and then okay, so like I think I mentioned in an earlier, there goes the top of it. Okay, usually when I have the hook, it's not a hook, is it? I don't know, I don't remember what it's called. Usually when I have the thing that holds it to my desk, I'll hold it at like the same level as this. I'll hold the yarn, and then that way I just get it around a little bit before putting it through this. Because I've noticed that helps me get like a secure base on it if I just hold it at the level of this. Okay, so okay, there we go. It's just, once it gets to a certain point, it just starts tugging, and then when it tugs on the yarn ball, then it starts tugging on that. So that's what I'm trying to give myself a little bit more room here. So this is just what I do to ground, and then I slow it down to a stop, and then that's when I put it into here. So that's just what I'll do for this. I'll come back to you when I have this one fully caked. Okay, I'm gonna take this part off. Now we are done with the other cake, and I think I'm gonna move on to the other colors. It was just red that I had in there, but I'm gonna move on to those ones just to for the purpose of finishing caking. Okay, so I now have the rest of them caked up, and I'm probably going to use this one next for something. I'll figure it out. But now we're back onto making this blanket, because I do want to finish it, like I said. So I have decided to do the remaining granny squares of that blanket in white. I have 9 more to do, including this one. And hopefully by like Thursday, Friday, I will be able to start weaving these together. I also decided color scheme wise, I am going to be using the dark green for weaving together the squares and then bordering the blanket as a whole. I went with white because if you look at it, 2 different shades of white. This is like an off-white cream. This is more of a pure white. So I think it'll be perfectly fine going with this. And I think this white will help bring a little bit more balance to a lot of the greens and will help, if not even it out, but just, if not even it out, I might give it some balance, a little bit more balance, because it's at least like 1, 2, 3, like 4 different shades of green. So it'll give it a little bit extra to pop out against. Okay, so we are switching gears a little bit here just because I don't want to burn myself out from any of the projects I'm working on. I have been working through them and working on them, but because I don't want to burn myself out, I'm going to put a brief pause on those. Hopefully, again, still get them done by the end of the year. But we are pausing, so like I said, I don't burn myself out. And I have had this since last year, and we're going to try it. So it comes with quite literally everything. There's this stuff, which I'm assuming is for Santa's beard. And then there's all these, so the notions. I should probably get the box out for those. It's okay. Okay, where are the buttons going? Where are these buttons going? I have no clue. Is it just... Okay, I'm assuming these go... It'll figure itself out. So some of the notions, there's buttons and some little puff balls. There's stuff for the eyes, and then also a carrot for the nose, or 2 carrots for the snowman's nose, as well as eyes, and then stitch markers, not that I need more of those, and then darning needles, threading needles. What's the snowflake for? I don't know. Darning needles, threading needles, and then they also have these little pins. Ooh, I have my own now. My mom has a bunch because she says these little, ow. Okay, so a very tiny little darning needle. Let's see if I can get it good. Anyway, can't get a good look at it. And then there's a couple of those. And then these pins to hold stuff down. Dude, let's very carefully put these back. And then I think I'm gonna for sure keep these in here. I don't know when I'll use these again outside of this, or outside of these projects. Don't know when I'll use this again. Show you that. I'm assuming this is for a hot glue gun, so I'll have to find a hot glue gun. A hot glue gun? Is that what I'm thinking of? I think that's what I'm thinking of. And then 2 needles. Does it say 2.5? A 2 mm and then a 2.5. I kind of wish, since these are Christmas ones, I kind of wish they had done red and green, but that's what they have for the notions. And then all the yarn you could possibly need, and then DIY handicrafts crochet kit for beginners. So this goes through all the basics of it. So there's this, which I like, another beginner. I might get frustrated at this though because I'm not a beginner. Okay, so there's Christmas tree, and then reindeer, gingerbread man, Santa, and snowman. I'm not sure which one I'm gonna do first. It's not gonna be the best thing since it'll be the first time I'm doing this. Okay, cup, sleeve, dark green, light green. Ground. Yeah. Okay. Okay, they do have a tutorial video, which is great. They do have tutorial videos for this, which I appreciate. Okay, so it says the dimensions are roughly 11.5 inches in length, and then 3.5 inches wide. May not be exactly that, but where's the brown? Oh, that's all the brown is. I feel stupid for that. Assembly. Custom specific. Take the brown. Okay, I'm probably gonna use the video. I'm okay with written instructions, and sometimes I do prefer written instructions, but sometimes, like, depending on the project, like this is a project where for me it might be a little bit easier to have a video instruction, so it's really project dependent on which one I go for, if I prefer written out or video. Now if it's only one or the other, then it's only one or the other, but you know, if there's the option, it depends on the project. Which one uses the glue? Kind of, just because it's like there's a way to assembly. Okay, so the Christmas tree cut to the cup sleeve position. No. Oh, that's what the buttons are for. Okay, so I guess there's like a loop on the cup. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess I'll just have to figure out which one uses glue and why, just because it doesn't make sense why there's the glue. So I'll figure out when I watch. I'm probably gonna watch the tutorials at least once before doing this. So We'll see. I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know which one I feel like. But since it's the holiday crochet rush, I want to do one of these. I have no idea. You know, I might do the gingerbread. Let's start with the gingerbread first. Why not this one? I'll come back to you partway through. Something I will say is, like, I'm not overly upset with how the YouTube channel is, just because it's good. And you know, when you're into crochet content creation, you have to do what you have to do. So as I was saying, you have to do what you have to do. But like, I'm not, maybe it's just because I'm used to more personal videos, like the person, maybe it is this person talking, and it sounds more automated, like it's a voice to text to voice deal, which again, you have to do what you have to do, what you're most comfortable with when you're getting into any type of content creation. It just, for me, it doesn't feel as personal, and also, like, that's not a huge gripe I have. But again, like, these little, like, they're very minor quibbles I have with this. The other thing is that the playlist is out of order for the videos, so it's like you have to like go back and forth. And like, if I had done this, I would have it in the order of what, like, I know you can do, like, when you set up a playlist, you can have it be like sort in order of like oldest to newest or newest to oldest, and I would do that in the sense of like doing whichever one where it's like the first video will be first, so the first part of the playlist that you need, the first video in that playlist you need, and then the second video, it would be in that order, which is usually oldest to newest. So that's just what I would do personally. But again, it's like, when you're I'm not judging, because getting into any type of content creation is hard, and doing it as a craft and doing tutorials, that is also hard, because you have to have the pattern, and you also have to do the video tutorial if you're doing a video tutorial for it. And like, even if you're not sharing the written out pattern, like, you need to have some form of written out pattern for yourself. So I'm not complaining. Like, again, these are very minor quibbles, so it's like, you gotta do what you gotta do. For me, this is very much a personal preference. For me, I probably would have chosen a bigger hook. I understand, like, aesthetically and also probably functionally too, why they did a 2.5 mm hook for this and for this yarn, because usually you would use, there's usually a range of what size to use for a certain type of yarn or for certain weights. I probably would have used a 3 for this yarn, but again, that's just a personal preference, and I also understand the aesthetics of it and also functionality, so just my own personal thing. But again, that's not so much of a quibble with this. Like I said, my main things are the playlist being out of order, and also just like it doesn't have a lot of emotion behind it. And if you're doing holiday crochet, you're doing it because you're trying to, okay, let me rephrase. If you're making something for someone, and if you're following this to make it for someone, you're usually doing that out of a place of love, and that's an emotion. And something I kind of like referencing is in Arthur Christmas, when Arthur's trying to be like, that'll ruin the magic, like, we can't get Gwen's back to her in 5 days, that'll take the magic out of it. And Steve's like, Christmas isn't a time for emotion. And it's like, okay, Steve, when is a time for emotion if not at Christmas? So that's kind of what I like referencing. Okay, so I think conceptually these are really nice, and the pattern that I was following was really good. I didn't get to the actual application part, the applique part, because I've decided to give up because I'm a little bit tired, and I don't know if I'm going to continue with this specific yarn for these, mainly because I think it's a little bit too thin. Like, I think the yarn size is fine. It's just for a lot of the mugs that I have in my household, both that I use and then my mom and my sister use, it would need a little bit to be a little bit longer, and then I would need to make this part a little bit longer as well, like the connection part a little bit longer, and maybe the buttonhole a little bit bigger. I'm not sure, but conceptually I like this idea. I'm probably not going to hold on to the yarn just because I have so much, and there are other people that could use it more than me. So conceptually really like this. I'm going to hold on to the patterns because I do want to try them again, probably when I'm in a little bit of a better mindset for this and I kind of know what to expect now with the sleeve. And then I watched through making the gingerbread man for this one. I watched through it. I just not up for it right now, and at the end of the day, like, hey, it's something new, it's something good that I've learned and I'm able to do, which great. And I know what I would roughly do differently for this. So you win some, you lose some. I'm probably gonna hold on to some of the notion, or all of the notions, because you can't go wrong with hold on to that. I'm not gonna hold on to the yarn because, like I said, there are other people who could use it more than me. So that is what we're going for today. And I think I'm also gonna, oh, I need to put these ones back. I think I'm also going to end this video here just because we're getting a little lengthy and I did make good progress with some of the other projects. So I'm not too worried about like any holiday rush or like end of the year rush. I wasn't really worried at the beginning. I have so many of these. And now I can add more, which is great because I'm always losing these. Thankfully I can find them again, but I'm always losing them. But yeah, like I said, I made some pretty good progress in some of my other projects. I tried something new and we're doing good. And at the end of the day, that is what I think is the best. So yeah, I don't think I'm gonna hold on to this actually. So I might include this with the yarn and I'll probably give it to like Goodwill or something. So that is the end of this video. Thank you for coming along and I'll see you all in my next video.